On a day when most eyes weren't on Congress, a surprising voice took the microphone in a Senate hearing room: musician and former drug dealer, Jelly Roll. Speaking not as a politician but as someone who lived the consequences of addiction, Jelly Roll delivered raw, emotional testimony in support of a new fentanyl bill. His words cut through political debate, reminding senators and the nation that behind every statistic are real lives lost, families broken, and futures stolen. The hidden crisis: fentanyl overdoses killing hundreds daily. Every single day across America, an invisible disaster unfolds. Fentanyl, a synthetic opioid so deadly that just a few grains can kill, now claims around 190 lives daily, enough to fill a passenger jet. Jelly Roll called this out in his testimony: if a plane really crashed every day, the nation would demand action. But because overdose victims are labeled as addicts, outrage fades into silence, and the deaths keep coming. Fentanyl's danger isn't just its potency, it's how easily it spreads. Dealers mix it into counterfeit pills, heroin, cocaine, and even party drugs, often without the user ever knowing. One pill, one experiment, one mistake, that's all it takes. Nearly 3/4 of today's overdose deaths involve fentanyl. As Jelly Roll told the Senate, these aren't just numbers. They're sons, daughters, parents, and friends, many who never planned to become addicted. Some started with a prescription after surgery, others trusted a pill from a friend, unaware it was poisoned. Addiction doesn't ask who you are or what you planned for tomorrow. It just takes. From drug dealer to advocate, owning my past to inspire change. Jelly Roll's testimony stood out not just because he's famous, but because he spoke openly about once being part of the problem. Years ago, he mixed and sold drugs, believing it was victimless. Standing before senators, he admitted the truth. There's no such thing as a victimless drug crime. He shared how funerals of friends, the grief of families, and the guilt he carries made him realize the real cost of his past. But instead of hiding from it, he used it to push for change. As he told the hearing, "I was part of the problem. I'm here now because I want to be part of the solution." Jelly Roll's message was simple but powerful: people can change. Even someone who once fueled addiction can fight against it. His hope was that sharing his story might stop others from repeating his mistakes or from becoming the next victim. Addiction doesn't discriminate: friends, family, and personal loss. In his testimony, Jelly Roll challenged stereotypes about addiction. He reminded senators that addiction doesn't care about background, income, or politics. It enters homes quietly and can take anyone. He spoke of loved ones lost, childhood friends, neighbors, and people who never thought they'd get hooked. Some were lifelong users, others took a single pill they didn't know was laced with fentanyl. The outcome was always heartbreak. Jelly Roll shared something deeply personal: his own daughter's mother struggles with addiction. Every day, he lives with the fear that one call could bring the worst news. His story made clear that addiction isn't distant, it can sit at anyone's dinner table. His testimony pushed senators to see overdose victims not as statistics, but as real people whose families mourn them every day. Beyond politics, a call for compassion over partisanship. Jelly Roll's testimony wasn't about left or right. He openly admitted he isn't a Democrat or a Republican, he can't even vote because of his past felony convictions. But that, he argued, makes him the right person to speak. Fentanyl deaths don't care about party lines. He called on senators to look past politics, blame, and debate, and instead focus on saving lives. At funerals, party affiliation doesn't matter. What matters is that someone is gone forever. He urged lawmakers to see the crisis as a human tragedy, not a political talking point. Real change, he said, comes from compassion, caring more about human life than ideology. Jelly Roll's voice broke through the usual political language, reminding everyone in the room why the hearing mattered: because real families are losing loved ones every day. Be proactive, not reactive, fighting both supply and demand. One of the most striking parts of Jelly Roll's testimony was his call to act before it's too late. America, he said, has often reacted only after a crisis exploded, from crack cocaine in the 80s to prescription opioids in the 2000s. With fentanyl, waiting means thousands more lives lost. He supported the fentanyl bill's goal to stop the supply, cutting off traffickers and keeping deadly drugs off the streets. But he warned that supply is only half the fight. As long as demand exists, driven by untreated trauma, mental health struggles, and hopelessness, traffickers will find ways to fill it. Jelly Roll argued for investment in prevention and treatment, more mental health services, education for young people, and real help for those already struggling. It's not enough to punish, he said. We must also heal. His message to senators was clear: being proactive means saving lives before they become numbers. Waiting has cost too many already. A voice that needed to be heard. At the Senate hearing on the fentanyl bill, Jelly Roll didn't speak as a politician, expert, or lobbyist. He spoke as someone who's seen addiction destroy lives, including his own. His testimony turned statistics into human stories, called out stigma, and demanded compassion over politics. He reminded the Senate, and the country, that behind every overdose is a family shattered and a future erased. And he left them with a simple truth: it's time to act, not tomorrow, but now. Because in the fight against fentanyl, silence is deadly. And real change starts with finally seeing every victim as someone who mattered.